After you've been on self-improvement for a while and things start to slow down a little bit, there's often this one vice that keeps you 3 to 4 levels lower, whether that's video games or maybe you're on your phone for 8 hours a day scrolling on social media. There's probably one drug that you really just aren't willing to sacrifice yet. And that's in turn keeping you from the much higher level that you deserve to be at. It's like you're putting in all of this work, but there's this one problem that's causing you 80% of your grief. This is called the 80-20 rule. That's not so important. This is going to apply to gut health in a second. Now, back when I had acne, which was up till like 2 weeks ago, I guess, but throughout my whole high school career, I really didn't take care of myself. And in turn, I really didn't like myself. I had greasy hair, I was skinny fat, my skin was in an awful condition, my breath probably stank. I was a loser. And that did a lot to my mental health. I didn't like myself at all, and maybe you could take the standpoint that instead of fixing the problem, maybe just learn to like who you are, but that's not the approach that I took. There's two approaches you can take. You can fix your mental health, which is a good thing, but you could also change to someone that you actually like. You can change your identity. And that's the solution that I chose, and that's the solution that I'm going to teach you guys how to pursue. Now, there's this concept called the halo effect, where the more attractive you are, the better people are going to treat you. You can look at court cases, it's really all over. Of course, in the dating market, the more attractive you are, the better people are going to be to you. If you watched any TV, any movies, this is apparent in so many of them. It's just a fact of life. The more attractive you are, whether that's because you think you're attractive or other people think you're attractive, that's up to you to decide. But just something about it, you lead a better life. So if you look in the mirror and you see spots all over your face, that's going to make you more scared to approach the woman that you actually think is wife quality. This is because there's going to be that little nagging spirit in your mind saying, maybe I'm not good enough. At least for me, that's what happened. I could talk to the girls who I had no interest in whatsoever, but whenever I actually cared about what they thought of me, everything started to go downhill because I really didn't think I was good enough for them. Now, this is an issue of pedestalizing the girl, putting her much higher than she probably should have been, but I was also throwing myself in the dumpster just because I had spots on my face. Now, this is ultimately because I didn't have a purpose, and getting girls was the biggest task on my mind. If you want a way to get around this, a little cheat code, find some purpose, find something bigger than yourself, whether that's a business, whether that's working on your career, and you'll have more success in that. But at the same time, having those spots on your face isn't ideal. You might get treated worse because of it, because let's be honest, who has ever thought, oh, I actually like acne, I like the way acne looks? Nobody. So maybe this will help. When I was in Tennessee, I went to Tennessee for vacation for about 3 days. One day in, my acne on my face and my back had completely disappeared. I'd been struggling with this for 3 years, and you're telling me it disappeared after one day. That's the way things happened, and I'm glad they did. I was pondering why this happened. First, I suspected mold exposure in my room, which my acne hasn't come back yet, so I'm assuming it's not that. My next suspicion was possibly I dried myself out. I dehydrated myself for the trip so I didn't have to go to the bathroom as much. It was a 6-hour drive. And I kept dehydrating myself throughout the trip to see if that was the reason that my skin was getting better. And I basically almost got myself sick and did end up getting sick later because of that. I wouldn't recommend dehydrating yourself. We're meant to drink water as humans, so that's definitely not what caused it. My next suspicion, maybe my diet was better, but I was eating bread, sandwiches. I wasn't eating healthy the whole time. It was basically subpar. I was putting barbecue sauce on all my food. That's extra sugar. So that wasn't the case. How can I have clear skin when my diet's bad? And that's when I realized I'm in another state. It's really sunny out, and I'm in the sun a lot. So I was reading a study recently that says that in a controlled trial with about 80 people on each side, so it's not a huge sample size, but the people with acne were basically twice as likely to be deficient in vitamin D, which is the vitamin that comes from the sun. It was like 40% compared to 20%, which is a pretty big jump. And if you're deficient in this, what I collected from this data is it's probably the cause of your acne. Sorry. Now, I've been sitting in the sun for about 10 minutes a day now, and my skin has been much clearer. A couple other things I've been doing, I'll rattle them off real quick. I haven't been moisturizing as much because my skin isn't really dry. I kind of fell for the idea that you can't overhydrate your skin. So I'm also not moisturizing as much. I haven't noticed any problems from it. So I'm not going to continue that unless things start going downhill. And another thing I've been doing is I've been changing my pillowcases every day. Change the side of your pillow every night that you sleep, and then you can use a t-shirt whenever you're washing your pillowcase. Get some good silk pillowcases. You can do cotton. And that's just a hygiene thing to keep your face clean. It's nice. It's been working out for me. But let's get back to the vitamin D thing. Getting more sunlight has basically fully cleared up my skin. I'm sure you can tell. I don't have spots all over my face. I have noticed it start to settle back in on my back. Maybe I haven't been getting enough sunlight. But if you are deficient in vitamin D, that could be the reason that you have acne. So that's something to consider. Now, I want to talk about if you live in a state like I do. I'm in the US. If you live in an area that doesn't get a lot of sunlight, perhaps in the wintertime, maybe it's just a sad city that you live in and you don't get a lot of sun at all. I think supplementing vitamin D is not a bad idea if that's the circumstances that you're in. You have to live around your circumstances. Ideally, you live in a place with a lot of sun. I unfortunately don't. Currently, there's a lot of sun out, so I've been enjoying that. But from now on, I'm also going to be supplementing with vitamin D, getting some sort of vitamin D capsule that you can just take like a pill. That's probably the next best thing if you can't get sunlight. If you're deficient in any vitamin, if you're not living in the way that a human's supposed to live, here's where it ties back to that one vice, keeping you 3 to 4 levels lower. If you're deficient in one vitamin, you're doing one thing that maybe humans weren't meant to do, and it's hurting you, then it doesn't matter if you're at such a high level and everything else. This is going to drag you down much further than you need to be drugged down, much further than you deserve. So that's a good principle I want you to take out of this video is do things that humans are meant to do. Sit outside in the sun and maybe brush your teeth, read a book. 10 minutes of sunlight isn't that bad. The sun is also fantastic for fixing your circadian rhythm, setting your clock inside of yourself so that you go to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time, which are also really good for you. The sun boosts your serotonin. It makes you happier. So you should definitely be getting sunlight. Saying this to myself in the past, myself 2 weeks ago, you should be in the sun. You should be sleeping a good amount too.